Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our webinar this week. My name is Tanya, and I'm the Marketing Manager over here at Struxsoft Solutions. Just for those of you who are new with us today, MWF, or Metalwood Framer, is our automated Revit wall, floor, ceiling, and truss framing software for like-gauge steel and also wood modeling. ONYX, however, is a purpose-built tool with the offsite manufacturer in mind. So essentially, ONYX enables users to upload their framed Revit project to a cloud server for easy sequencing, scheduling, editing, and CNC output from any web-enabled device without ever having to download the Revit file. Today's webinar will be the final session in our three-part series on ONYX. Our ONYX expert, Alex, will be doing a quick recap of part 1 and 2 of our webinar series and also dive into the CNC editor. Just before we get going, I'd like to remind everyone that at the end of the webinar, we'll be taking a few live questions. In order to be selected, please press the raise hand button on the dashboard. Just please also make sure that your mic is working correctly. If you'd prefer, you can also type in your questions and post them throughout the webinar in the questions tab of the GoToWebinar dashboard. We'll make sure to get back to you by email within 24 hours. All right, that's it for me. I'm going to hand off to Alex now.
There we go. Thank you, Tanya. All right, welcome everybody to part 3 of our ONYX webinar series. Today, I will be focusing on the CNC editor tool that we have on the website. In order to get to this point, I'm just going to go over a few things that we've seen the first and second week, just making sure that my project and everything is set up properly. And then that'll lead into using the CNC editor to finally download our files. So what I have in front of me right now is a project that was built specifically with Howick machine in mind. And this is going to be important. And the reason I say this is because when we're going to use the CNC editor, it's going to depend what you have as a machine setting with your panel members. So obviously, if you're going to be, let me just jump into my component types real quick. So if you're going to be focusing on something that is either Howick, Beck, or Irene, you're going to want to have your model, obviously, that is modeled correctly with that in mind. So for this example, I'm using Howick. I already have a machine setting that I've set up. This, just to go back over this option, you have the CNC machine under settings in our ONYX menu. And right here, you can do add setting. You can pick the ones that you want here. So I believe Irene, I have a few of them because I was testing it out. So I have my Howick, and just to refresh your memory, if you haven't seen this, if you've missed out on some of the first sessions, this is what you have in the settings menu. So once this is all good and you've put everything here that you need, you can just save this. And we're going to go into the component types. And again, all the components that you've uploaded basically from Revit, you can go here by selecting them. And you can do assign CNC machine. And I have them set for the Howick V1. So what we just saw there was the upload section. I've already done this with the project that I'm going to be using in ONYX. But again, I just kind of little refreshers. So if there's families in this project, we had to go in here and pick the proper section shape, see profiles, for example, and then we would do upload. And this would send all these components to the ONYX components that I have. So you can see everything here that I've already uploaded, and it would add them to this list. Once this is done, you can select a few panels that you need, or all panels, and then do upload panels. I'm not going to run this right now. Again, I have the panels that I need right now on the ONYX website. So I'm going to go ahead and jump over to that now. Okay. So let me go to projects. Let me pick the Howick test that I want. And I'm gonna go to, actually I'm gonna stay right now. I have one work order. I only have 4 panels. If you created multiple work orders with more panels, you would have a bunch here, which we will see in the CNC editor after. So I'm gonna go to Panel Manager. So inside of Panel Manager, the way to access the CNC editor would be to select one of your panels. So directly, let me just open this so we can see a bit better. The panel tab, and for example, I want my second panel here. You click this, it'll open up a new page. And right here at the top, you have CNC editor. This will bring you to another viewer, basically similar to what we used to have that you guys have seen in the first 2 days, the project viewer. So let me just skip to this first. Okay, so we're all a little familiar with this. Just the ONYX, load panels. And this is what we saw in the first sessions. Now, by going into the CNC editor, we're going to get something similar. And we're also going to see the panel in question that I selected. So I'm going to go with this guy again and hit CNC editor. All right, we get this little mechanical guy loading up. Get your panel inside here. You'll notice one of the first things on the side here is your filters. So I only have the one work order that I've created. You could have multiple, and this can help you filter through your panels. You don't have to go back to Panel Manager and select the panel and then hit CNC Editor in order to open each panel one at a time and play around with them. I can just select the work orders that I want to upload, or sorry, filter. I can do load panels. And then under this tab, I'll see those 4 panels that I have created right now. So I can just swap to one. Changes have been saved. You wish to continue? Yes. And now I'm going to jump to my other panel. Okay. So let's just go. This one had a bit more on it. Okay. So in our ribbon, what do we have? First option, save as draft, publish, download. These are all different options after you've made changes, basically. So if I was to come into this panel, and you'll notice these pink tags, you have blue, green, yellow. So these are all the tools that have been used on my panel currently. So I can come in here, tab, and select this. You have your properties on the left, slot hole. You got some of your information. Same thing if you just pick a member, tells you what it is, my S column. Again, a lot of the information that you'll notice in if you're using MWF and Revit. Okay, and then on the right side here, I just gotta hide this. Okay, so I can open up basically my entire project. Oops, there we go. You'll see it's all highlighted, but if I pick just the top plate, it'll highlight in this menu. You can drop this down and see all the different tools that have been assigned to it. So if I go back to this guy, I start scrolling, you'll find it here, red. Open it up, and then as I'm hovering over the tools, you'll notice in the drawing, sorry, in the model, I see my slot holes in pink. You get your dimple line in green. Let me just zoom in. Whoops, there we go. This one here. Okay, those are all the tools. So basically what you see here can be assigned also manually up top here in our ribbon. If we notice real quickly, boss right now is grayed out. And this is what I was saying before. Certain tools only work with the proper CNC machine settings. And this one, I believe, works with the Irene machine. So if I don't have that set up for any of these members, that tool is automatically going to be grayed out. We can't use it. It's one of the only ones though, I think. Everything else should work with most of the machine settings. So what we have are slots, your cuts, your notches, and then for the sheet panels, we have the nail line you can route. I don't have a sheet on this current panel though, so I'm not going to be using these, but I can go over a couple of these other tools here by adding them. So go ahead and create a, there we go, insert this. So notice here, we have the flange, and in order to move it, you pick this little red picker here, and you can drag this around. Okay, I can select it again. Okay. So once that's in, again, as I mentioned before, save draft and publish. So save as draft is, if you've done any changes, you can do save as draft. Now this isn't going to necessarily push this into your CNC files yet. It's not going to make it official. So if I do save as draft, let this load, won't be in the final CNC document. Okay, so this is what I was just saying. You get that little warning. If I hit OK, and if I go back to my panel manager, you'll see here under one of our tabs, CNC edited, second panel, draft. Two of them have no, so they've been as is once they were created. And this first panel that I worked on a little bit earlier has yes, because I did some changes and I saved it. And basically what that means is if I come in here again and I make some adjustments, just tab here, move this guy up. Okay, and then I want to publish. So this is saving it, but it's making it that it's officially in the CNC files once we download them. Just takes a little bit longer. There we go. And then if I go back to my panel manager, now CNC edited, yes, it's no longer draft. All right, and then the next tool that we have here, download. So from the first sessions, I believe last week actually, or part 2, I showed you guys about the download CNC. Now what this does is I can pick all my panels right here and hit download CNC. It's going to give me a zip folder. It's going to create a roll order. So this one here was 11. Now it's turned into 12. Okay, so you see Howick, that's my machine setting basically. And number 12 is the roll order that it's assigned to it. So I'll open this and I'll get all 4 of my panels for my CNC files. However, if we do it inside of the CNC editor, this is only going to download the panel itself. It's not going to create a roll order. It's just going to give you access to the one Excel file, basically. Okay. So I would probably, unless you really need to just have access to that, the best way is obviously to go in here and create your full roll order. And in order to see that roll order that I just created, I can go back here to the beginning of our ONYX menu, and I can go to the manufacturing center. And you notice here my roll orders. So 12 is the one that I just created. Okay, and then we have the option right here at the end, rolled. So once you've created all these, as the jobs are getting done, I can go here, whoops, update roll order status to rolled, okay. This gets changed, and I'll show you guys what it looked like in a second. Obviously, these are outdated now because I keep overriding them basically when I was creating new ones. And then if I go back to my projects, And I was using this ONYX test one, panel manager. And right before we left, the status here said downloaded, meaning we've downloaded the files. And now I gave it the rolled status by hitting that check mark before. I jump back into the CNC editor. We also have the code viewer. This is going to replace this little menu here on the side. I know this is important. Let me just drag it open a little bit more. So you have all your codes in here. If I pick a member, it'll highlight the entire line. Again, if you're just hovering over, it's blue. Once you select it, it goes red. And then same thing as far as the tools go. Oops. I'm just going to pick this slot hole. And you'll have it highlighted right here. Okay, and then if you want to close this, you just have to hit the code viewer once again. All right. Down here in the bottom right corner, we have all machines. So right now I've assigned some components. Like I said, I've overlapped a few times. This is why you're going to see the ONYX V1 machine come up a few times. But if you had two different machines, you can select these. Or if you had ONYX with, you have your machine 1 at the factory and machine 2, and you can have two different settings for them, and you can swap from one machine to the next. Okay. And then on the right side here, we have different shades basically for the model. So right now it's unshaded. I can go transparent. You can swap to realistic. A little bit slower. Looks like I'm highlighting them. And then finally, there was the gauge color. Okay, so I'm just going to put this back to shaded. There we go. Same thing as in Revit. As far as controls go, you have the cube, which we find in the project viewer and inside Revit. So holding shift, middle mouse, you get to rotate, zoom in, zoom out. We also have something that we have in the CNC editor that will be added to the project viewer, I believe, soon. Are these two little tools at the top. So you can, for example, if I'm zoomed in, hit this, it's going to do a zoom extent. You can also just double click your middle mouse button. And then if you want to focus on, let's say, this piece, I can hit this, or once again, middle mouse twice, and we'll zoom in on the piece. So those are here. They will be, if they aren't already, I'm not sure. They will be available in the project viewer. And we can also isolate, similar to when we're modeling in Revit. I can hit I and just isolate this one piece. And then if I want to go back, you just make sure nothing is selected, and you can hit I once again. And this works, obviously, I can hold control, pick a couple members, hit I, and then bring everything back in. Eventually, this tool is currently not working exactly the way we want, but what you're going to be able to do is, obviously, as it says, invert connections. So you're going to get a little icon between two connections, and then you can basically change the order of operations or where the tools are. So I've already placed one of these. I'm not going to go through all of them. Obviously, it works pretty much as intended. So if I pick this member here and I hit this round cut, again, you can pick the little red box, move this around, and then obviously any changes that you make, save as draft or publish, depending on what point in the your project you are. And if I go through, just double check. As far as the CNC editor goes, I believe that is all the options that we have. Okay, so that's good. So I'm gonna just hop out real quick here, go back to my panel manager and just see if there's anything other related to the CNC editor that I can speak of. So we have our statuses that I've shown you. We have edited if depending how you save it. Of course, like I said, work orders, depending how many you have, you'll be able to see this in the menu in order to filter. So right here on this side here, so you can filter obviously more panels that you want to load into here. And I think that's it. As far as the CNC editor goes, those are all the tools that we have currently. Again, while I have you here, there's a lot to look forward to. The team has been working on a lot of new tools. There's a lot of stuff that will probably be implemented within the next month. As far as the CNC editor goes, the project viewer, like I mentioned, now those few little tools here that make your life easier when inside the viewer will be also added to the viewer. I've had a little moment of testing where they add the tooltips when you hover over the tools. So a lot of nice little things to polish off the software will be available to everybody soon. I hope this has been helpful for you guys, these 3 parts of ONYX webinar, and we're looking forward to bringing some new stuff for everybody soon. Tanya, I'm going to throw this back at you. If there's any questions or if anybody has any comments that they want to make, let's do that.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. As Alex just mentioned, we have time to answer a few questions. If you'd like to pose a question live, please raise your hand now by clicking on the hand icon in the control panel. Just please also make sure that your audio is working correctly. If you'd prefer, you can also type the questions through the questions tab of the GoToWebinar dashboard. All right, while we wait for any questions to come through, I'd just like to remind everyone that the recording of the webinar will be sent through tomorrow. As always, please feel free to share the recording with any colleagues. And if you'd like to set up a one-on-one demo or have any questions about the version you have, we highly encourage you to reach out to our team. Contact details for our sales team as well as our support team will be provided. All right, I'm just going to wait a couple more seconds to see if any questions come through. All right, I guess that's a wrap for today. If there were any questions that were submitted, or if you have any questions later on, please feel free to email us. We'll make sure to get to your questions as soon as possible by email. Once again, I just want to say thank you to Alex and thank you to everyone who registered for the webinar. All right, we'll now be ending the webinar. Have a great day.